And I'm going to talk to you about talking to people today because I think that, my topic is join, but I think that most of you don't realize that join doesn't mean just join your team as a consultant. It's really about getting everyone that you need, everyone that you come in contact with to join your business, whether it's as a customer, someone who's going to refer people to you, someone who is going to join, maybe someone who's going to join or buy from you in the future. So one of the things that I find that people have a hard time doing, though, is talking to strangers. And how many of you guys, raise your hands if you love talking to strangers? There's not a whole lot of you. Now, how many of you yourselves or in your team have actually done what I'm going to do? Hi, my name is Wendy. I sell Scentsy, and I know you probably love candles, so here's my catalog. And I don't know if you're keeping your business opportunities open, but just call me if you are. Isn't that, like, weird? Normal? Who would do that? So most of you, my mom was reminding me today that, as kids we're told not to talk to strangers. But let's say you have family who's not supportive, or maybe you've gone through all your friends and family, or, you've talked to everybody and you think you've done everything you possibly can. Or maybe you think you're really good at talking to people and they just don't want Scentsy. But in reality, they just might not like your approach. So one of the things I like to do is tell people to talk to strangers. And it's actually really not that hard to do. And how many of you, raise your hands, if you'd like a surefire way of talking to people without talking about Scentsy and getting them to talk to you and ask you about Scentsy? Would you do it? Yeah. There's not a lot of hands. All right, so I have a game, and it has a few rules, but it's called I Have a Candle Business. And the first rule is you need to find a stranger. It doesn't matter if it's a bank teller, if it's someone on the airplane next to you, if it's someone in a hotel, whoever it is in line at the gas station, they're a stranger, you don't know them, you need to talk to them. Now, the rule is you have to actually be sincere. Like, you can't just go, hi, my name's Wendy, what's your name? Hey, would you like some Scentsy? That's not really sincere. They'll never believe that you actually care about them and want to get to know them. The second thing, which is the really hard part, because I like to talk a lot, is to not tell them anything about yourself while you're talking to them. So if they say, oh, if they tell you they have kids, you can't tell them you have kids unless they ask you if you have kids. So that one's a hard one for me. The third one is you're not allowed to say anything at all about Scentsy until they ask you, what do you do for a living? Period. You're not allowed to just offer, halfway in the conversation, oh, I sell Scentsy or blah, blah, blah. Can't do that. And the fourth rule is if they ask you what you do for a living, you are only allowed to say, I have a candle business. Now, if you can imagine, if you went up to someone and they asked you what you did for a living and you said, oh, I work at Boeing, and where I live there's a lot of Boeing people, and I don't understand the thing that they say. And they'll say, oh, I work in the M3624, blah, 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 blah. I don't even care what they do for a living. But if someone says they have a candle business, even if you have 4 jobs in it, you only do Scentsy a little bit, still only tell them that you have a candle business, all right? So let's start. So let's say that you're talking to someone and, let's say you're at school, your kid's soccer game, and you see another mom there and you've never met her and you build up the courage and you go up to her and you say, hi, my name's Wendy, I've seen you at a lot of these things, but, we never talk or anything like that. Which one's your kid? And they're going to say, oh, that's my kid, which one's your kid? Right? Right. Okay. So then you say, oh, have you been around this area for a while? I've seen you around some other things. Yes, they're going to talk to you about that, and they're going to say, oh, how long have you been in this area, right? Third one. So, what do you do for a living? Well, out of courtesy, don't they have to ask you what you do for a living? And if they don't, they're totally rude. Right? So when you say, oh, I have a candle business, their eyes perk up, their eyebrows go up, and they actually say, oh, you do? What kind of business? What kind of candles do you make yourself? I'm telling you, I offer what I do for a living. I just say, I have a candle business. And they start asking me questions and saying, well, I love candles. What kind of candles do you have? And I tell them, oh, you know, they're electric. Have you ever heard of Scentsy? And I just did this in Omaha. My husband and I were coming back from the Omaha Spring Spread, and on Sunday I ripped my parka. I was sitting in one of the airport chairs, and the parka went into my coat and pulled up, and the entire thing ripped after 3 days of having it. But anyway, so I needed a sewing kit, so I went into the cashier area, and I went and got a sewing kit. And there was a young girl working there, and I said, oh, hi, you know, how are you? And she goes, oh, good. And I said, it's really slow here. Is it always this dead here? And she goes, yeah, that's why I like it. And I said, well, how long have you been working here? And she goes, oh, about a year and a half. And I said, so you like it? And she goes, yeah, because I just sit here really. And she goes, what brings you to town? I did not have to go up to her and slap this thing in her face and say, hey, before I leave on an airplane, person send me. Okay. So we were just talking, and I gave her, you know, we were talking about Scentsy, and she was excited. I pulled out my sample. So another key to this is have a sample, have a catalog, and have a join brochure. And each of them must have a sample in your contact information. So I gave her everything, because if she's bored and she's been there a year and a half and she likes quiet time, she might not be there an awful long time and might need a job at some point. Second of all, she loved the smell of candles. She might decide that she wants to buy some candles. She has a job, so I know she might be able to afford some, right? And we were pleasant and had a really nice conversation, so if nothing else, she might refer people to me. So I asked her, I said, you know, I have a monthly newsletter and I'm special. Do you want me to add you to it? I'll just send you an email once a month. She gave me her email address. So it's actually really easy. Now that I've told you this, how many of you are willing to talk to strangers? Really? Well, there's more of you at least. There's more of you. That's good. Well, so now my goal is I want every one of you to actually try that. I'm daring you all to not talk about your Scentsy business and see the reaction you get. And at least tell your team members who are having problems with this, see if that will change their business by not talking about Scentsy and vomiting all over them with it. The next, I didn't even do the slide thing. See, you don't even have to be good, you just get asked to be in there, you don't even have to do anything right. All right, so that's what I just talked about. Number 2, it's not about you. You know, there was someone already quoted this, but you know, people really don't know how much or care how much you know until they know how much you care. And when you're talking to someone, you know, like Norma, I think was saying, you know, you have to actually make eye contact. You have to, well, not even pretend. You've got to, once you get better at it, you actually will start caring, you know, a little bit more. But every person's different, and when you know about the business opportunity and you're talking to people, you can figure out, okay, let's say I'm talking to someone. I actually have someone who joined my team who said, well, you know, I don't really want to have parties, so that seems like it's going to suck, and I don't want to clean and all that. But I have an animal shelter that I love and I work for, and you know, I'd love to make some money for that. So I told her we have fundraisers where she can actually just, you know, have events when they have events, and she can, you know, put up displays and sell the products and then give all of her commissions to that if she wants. Bingo! You know, there's so many things that you can do when you listen to somebody else. Like if someone says that they're shy, don't like having parties, all that. If you went up to them and said, you know, fairs and shows is a really great idea. They just told you they're shy. Why would they want to go do that? Maybe online is the way for, you know, for them to go. So know the options that are available, and then become bulletproof. You know, if someone says to you, you know, I don't have any money right now, like, you know, just things have been tough, and you know, you can actually say things like, well, what are you doing to, you know, to change that? So when I come back to you in 3 months, you know, you're not going to have the same answer. You know, as you practice talking to strangers and other people, you'll be able to come up with these things and listen to other consultants who, you know, told you the different comebacks, I guess is the best way to describe it, to every objection. So listen to people, find out what's going on with them, and everybody can be a Scentsy consultant, a Scentsy host, or refer a business. And lastly, everything told me I'm running out of time. So I'm running out of time earlier. You know, No is a really good thing. I actually was a recruiter for 11 years, and I was an administrative assistant and worked admin, never worked commissions in my life, and they stuck me at a cubicle. I don't know how many of you worked in a cubicle before, but my boss was on the other side of me, and I was supposed to make 200 cold calls every day. So if you can imagine, how many of you like making cold calls? Not a hand in the room, because it sucks. Okay. Especially if someone's listening. If you could do it in a dark closet all by yourself, that's the way to go. So my boss is sitting on the other side of me, and I have this script, and people tell you what you can say, but until you get comfortable and it feels right, you suck. So they give me this phone book, and I'm supposed to make all these calls, and one of my employers is actually in this room. She's joined my team a while back. But I used to call people, I used to go, "Hi, my name is Wendy, and I have an awesome little secretary, and I wanted to see if you could blah, blah, blah," and then I'd hang up on because I screwed up. Yeah. So then they didn't even tell me no, I told myself no. Right? And then I call employers and they hang up on me. I didn't even get past the receptionist, right? But as I practiced and got good at my craft, I started writing my own little spiels, and I had one for different industries and different people, and I could tell on the phone how to get past that pitbull receptionist because I practiced.